Imagine building a startup, right? And your revenue is just like absolutely skyrocketing.
Right, the dream scenario.
Exactly, the dream. Your customers are thrilled, your metrics look incredible on paper, and you are celebrating what looks like a massive victory. And then your lead investor pulls you aside and tells you that your business is actually completely doomed.
Which is a terrifying conversation to have.
Oh, completely. But welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to unpack this massive paradigm shift that is happening right now in technology. We're exploring a brand new business model. It's called AI-Native Services, or AINS.
And, we are grounding this entire conversation in a really fascinating document. It's Emergence Capital's AI-Native Services Playbook, specifically the spring 2026 edition.
Yeah, and the reason we're tearing into this specific playbook with you today is because the rules of this industry, they are actively being rewritten as we speak.
Exactly. I mean, Emergence is interviewing the founders who are currently bleeding in the trenches, right? They're trying to figure out how to actually sell an AI-powered service in the real world.
Right. And they are mapping out the operational realities of just a completely new category of business.
Right, because we're finally moving past that traditional software as a service model. For the last 20 years, buying saws was kind of like going to a high-end appliance store.
Okay, I like this analogy.
Yeah, so you buy this incredibly fancy state-of-the-art oven, but at the end of the day, you still have to go to the store, buy the ingredients, and bake the cake yourself. You bought a tool, right? But your team still has to do all the labor.
Yeah, the human effort is still there.
Exactly. But AINS flips that entirely. You aren't buying the oven anymore. You are just buying the fully baked cake. And an AI is doing the baking in the dark, behind the scenes.
Which sounds amazing for the buyer, but getting to that fully baked cake on the provider side is treacherous.
Oh, it really is.
Which is exactly why those founders we mentioned at the top of the show, the ones with the skyrocketing revenue, might actually be driving their companies off a cliff without even realizing it. Okay, let's unpack this. Because the very first thing the playbook warns about is exactly that scenario. They call it Mirage product market fit.
Yeah, Mirage PMF. It is arguably the most dangerous concept in this new AI ecosystem. I mean, in the old software world, high revenue growth and strong customer retention meant you had product market fit. You were winning.
Of course, those are the golden metrics.
Right. But in AIs, those exact same metrics might just mean you've accidentally built a traditional human-heavy consulting firm and you just financed it with venture capital.
I gotta say, reading this, I kept picturing a swan. It's looking super graceful on the surface, just gliding along, but underwater, its little feet are just paddling furiously.
Yes, the humans are doing the furious paddling instead of the AI.
Right. But I have to push back on the investors here for a second.
Okay, go for it.
If my revenue is up, right, and my customers are getting exactly what they paid for, and they are perfectly happy, why is that a bad thing? I mean, revenue is revenue. If I'm solving the client's problem, why do they care if a human or an AI did the heavy lifting?
Oh, the client doesn't care at all. The client is thrilled. But what's fascinating here is the underlying venture capital math.
Math, right.
Yeah. Venture-backed startups are expected to scale non-linearly. In a traditional software company, once you build the code, the cost to replicate it and serve, say, your 1,000th customer is near zero.
Right, because it's just code.
Exactly. That's why software commands massive valuations. But if you have to hire 3 new human operators every single time you sign a new client, your costs are growing at the exact same rate as your revenue.
Because you have zero leverage.
Zero. You have consulting firm margins disguised as a tech company.
Wow. And the accounting gets really messy here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because founders actually lie to themselves.
Oh, constantly. The playbook points out exactly how they hide the cost.
Yeah, because in traditional software, human labor is usually categorized as an operating expense, right? OpEx.
Exactly. But in A's, those humans are the service. So the human-in-loop labor plus the AI inference costs, which is literally the cost of the computing power required every single time the AI processes a prompt, and your model API spend.
All of that is cost of goods sold.
Exactly. It's called GS. If your revenue per employee isn't, pulling away from traditional baseline metrics, your AI isn't doing the heavy lifting. You are literally just scaling human bodies.
Which brings us to the primary defense mechanism against this Mirage PMF. And it's all about ruthlessly restricting your ideal customer profile, or ICP.
Yeah, this is crucial because the natural instinct for any ambitious startup is to hunt whales, right? You want the Fortune 500 companies with the massive budget.
Oh, absolutely, which is exactly what a company called Harper didn't do. They went
Mhm.
completely in the opposite direction.
Right, down market.
Yeah, they focus on Main Street businesses
Okay.
like daycares, restaurants, local manufacturers. And I realized reading this that going down market is actually a brilliant technical constraint.
It is entirely about edge cases. I mean, large enterprises have incredibly complex, bespoke workflows that are just riddled with exceptions.
Right. Every department has its own weird way of doing things.
Exactly. And large language models are probabilistic, right? They struggle with out-of-distribution tasks. If you take on a massive enterprise early on, the AI will constantly break on those weird edge cases.
And then you instantly have to throw human bodies at the problem just to fulfill your contract.
Yes, you've instantly triggered Mirage PMF.
You essentially just become their bespoke, outsourced IT department.
Exactly. But a local daycare or a restaurant, their workflows are incredibly homogeneous.
A daycare in Ohio operates pretty much like a daycare in Texas.
Right. And the playbook also highlights a company called Strala, which hyper-focuses on just one single job, insurance claims processing for carriers.
It's just that one job.
Yeah. By forcing the company to productize around one narrow job or a highly standardized customer base, you eliminate the edge cases. That gives the AI a constrained, predictable environment where it can actually learn and automate.
That constraint makes total sense, but honestly, it creates this wild paradox.
How so?
Well, if relying on human labor is the ultimate trap, right? How do you actually deliver the service on day one when your AI model is essentially a toddler? Because the playbook insists that early AINS delivery requires an absurd, completely unscalable amount of human groundwork.
Oh, it does. It absolutely does. Because in SaaS, delivery is basically a support function. You hand the customer the login credentials, maybe a nice tutorial video, and you're done.
Right, here's your oven. Good luck.
Exactly. But in AINS, delivery is the product. You are responsible for the final outcome. Because of that, early customers aren't buying a software dashboard. They are buying your deep industry expertise.
They're buying trust, which explains why someone like Rob Me at Mechanical Orchard is so crucial.
Oh, yeah. His background is a huge asset.
Yeah, he used to run Pivotal. So when he walks into a massive enterprise, the executives instantly oust him with their core infrastructure. Or look at Dakota Rice at Harper and Jamie Cuff at Pace.
Both grew up in insurance families.
Exactly. They speak the nuanced language of the industry.
Yeah.
So the customer trusts that even if the AI completely hallucinates or just fails, the founders have the domain expertise to manually fix the problem before the final result is delivered.
And that manual intervention is often extreme, particularly during the migration phase. Extracting a client from their legacy system is incredibly volatile.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, the legacy data is usually unstructured, the old workflows are totally undocumented, and if that migration fails, your AI never even gets a chance to work.
Reading about this phase,
Yeah,
it really reminded me of an organ transplant.
that is a great way to put it.
Yeah, like you can have the most state-of-the-art synthetic heart ready to go,
Yeah.
and that's your AI. But if the surgeons don't carefully untangle the veins and arteries of the legacy system first, the patient just bleeds out on the table.
Morbid, but accurate.
Right. And to ensure the patient survives, there's this crazy detail in the playbook. Chris Latsuk, the CEO of Hanover Park, which is an AI fund administrator, he literally sleeps at the customer's office during migration.
Wait, literally?
Literally under the desk at the client's office.
Wow. But that is what the playbook calls the SEAL team approach. You need a dedicated, highly specialized squad whose only job is to manage the extreme chaos of onboarding.
They perform the organ transplant, stabilize the patient.
Exactly. And only then do they hand the healthy system over to a totally different team that specializes in the steady state AI delivery.
Okay, so while that steady state delivery is happening, the playbook highlights a physical dynamic that is vital, and that is sitting the doers next to builders.
Yes. Crosby Legal executed this perfectly.
Yeah, they paired their domain experts, the lawyers, directly alongside their software engineers.
Which is so smart, because originally the lawyers were batching their feedback, right?
Right. They'd review the AI's output and send like a big PDF report at the end of the week.
Right.
But they changed it so the lawyers gave feedback every few hours.
Which is how you create a remarkably tight RLHF loop.
Reinforcement learning from human feedback.
Right. When the lawyer spots a nuanced error in contract, the engineer instantly adjusts the system prompts or fine-tunes the model weights right then and there.
So the people doing the manual work are directly training the digital brain to replace them in real time.
Exactly. By eliminating the feedback delay, The AI's capability improves exponentially faster.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. You've got this SEAL team. Your doers and builders are in perfect sync. And the customer suddenly realizes, wow, this is actually working. So what do?
They ask for more.
They ask for more. They're like, hey, can your AI also generate this custom compliance report? Can it manage this weird ed case workflow?
And the founder is now staring down the barrel of the classic battle for the company's soul. The urgent versus the important.
Right. The urgent client demands, which represent immediate revenue today, versus the internal platform investments, which represent the company's actual survival tomorrow.
It is an agonizing tightrope to walk. I mean, if a client waves a massive check in your face for a custom feature, the instinct is to just say yes.
Of course, you need the cash.
But if you say yes to every bespoke request, your engineers stop building a generalized AI model and they just start writing custom code. You devolve right back into a boutique IT consultancy.
Which takes us right back to Mirage PMF. Ryan Daniels, the CEO of Crosby Legal, had a fantastic perspective on this. He pointed out that in the early days, you literally cannot know which client requests are universal industry rules and which are just unique one-off exceptions.
Because you just don't have enough data yet.
Right. He said it took them hitting about 80 clients before they finally saw the patterns clearly enough. That was the magic number where they felt confident looking a paying customer in the eye and saying, no, we aren't building that.
And saying no is how you protect the product roadmap. But, how you frame that roadmap internally and to your clients is equally important. The golden rule from the playbook here is automate tasks, not people.
Yes, they quote Timon Gregg on this, the CEO of Strela, and it solves both a technical problem and a psychological one, doesn't it?
It really does. Technically, if your engineers are trying to build this omnipotent God AI that completely mimics a human employee end to end, they are going to fail.
It's just too much.
Yeah, the context window is too large, the complexity is just too high, you have to break the job down into discrete tasks.
And psychologically.
Psychologically, you have to remember who you are selling to. If you walk into a client's office and announce that your new AINS platform is going to replace their entire team...
Oh, that team will actively sabotage your implementation.
100%.
No.
They will withhold data, find every flaw, and just ensure the pilot fails. But if you frame the platform as a tool that automates the soul-crushing, repetitive tasks so their people can focus on high-value strategy, you gain their cooperation.
You make them the hero, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's assume you've navigated all of this. You're saying no to the bad requests, you're automating tasks, your AI is getting sharper. You still have to actually go out and sell this invisible service to new buyers.
Right, which is a unique challenge.
Yeah, because in SaaS, you just pull up a beautiful dashboard in the pitch meeting, right? Look at these charts. But in AINS, the customer might never actually log into anything. The work happens entirely in the background. So how do you sell a black box?
Well, you have to make the invisible visible. The biggest failure mode for AINS sales is relying on a traditional slide deck.
Nobody wants to see another AI pitch deck.
Exactly. Buyers are drowning in AI hype right now. They are deeply, rightfully skeptical of any claims you make.
The playbook's advice here is beautifully blunt. It says, it's the demo, stupid. Stop telling people about your AI, show them.
Mechanical Orchard is the perfect example of that.
Oh, I love this part. Their core technology is this internal AI tool used to untangle and rewrite ancient, complex mainframe code. The playbook compared it to Cursor for COBOL.
Which is a great comparison, COBOL being the ancient programming language that basically runs most global banking.
Yeah, like 40-year-old code. And Cursor being a hyper-advanced AI code editor. So the client is never, ever going to touch that internal tool, right? But Mechanical Orchard started demoing it live in their sales pitches anyway.
Just to show the engine under the hood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it cut their sales cycle in half.
Because seeing is believing, right? When a bank executive watches an AI instantly parse 40-year-old code that their own human engineers are literally terrified to touch, the skepticism evaporates.
It proves that you aren't just farming the work out to a warehouse of human contractors somewhere.
Exactly. It converts skeptics into believers instantly.
And if a demo isn't enough to build trust, the playbook suggests you can actually just borrow it. Prosper AI did this by partnering with FirstSource, which is this massive, established revenue cycle management provider.
Yeah, it's a brilliant symbiotic relationship. FirstSource gets to offer a cutting-edge AI solution to their massive client base, and Prosper AI gets instant distribution and the halo effect of FirstSource's credibility.
Though there is a critical warning here when partnering, right?
Yes. You must never lose the direct relationship with the end customer. If the legacy partner disintermediates you completely, you lose access to the raw data. And as we'll get to in a moment, the data is your entire moat.
Well, before we get to the moat, I want to challenge the financial side of this, because this is where my brain broke a little bit reading the playbook. If you were replacing the software seats and delivering a final outcome, you have to completely change how you price it.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the software industry has spent like a decade trying to achieve outcome-based pricing.
Right, pay for results.
But they always hit the wall of attribution. If a salesperson uses a CRM to close a $1 million deal, did the CRM generate that revenue, or did the salesperson's charisma?
You can't slice it cleanly.
Exactly. But in AINS, you are accountable for the entire workflow. There is no attribution problem. The service is the outcome. That makes AINS the natural home for outcome-based pricing.
But let me play devil's advocate here. If I'm an NES founder charging purely for the outcome, don't I take on 100% of the risk? Like if my AI hallucinates or the API goes down, I don't get paid, but I still incur all those massive computing costs.
You do take on the risk, which is exactly why that initial human-in-the-loop phase that we talked about earlier is so critical. You buffer the technical risk with human QA until the model is bulletproof. Once it is bulletproof, outcome pricing becomes incredibly lucrative. The playbook actually breaks this down into two main structures.
Right, discrete and continuous.
Exactly. For discrete, finite, work-like mechanical orchard migrating a massive database, you just price the entire project based on the value of the completed migration. But for continuous work, like processing an endless stream of customer support tickets, you use a credits-based model. Complex tickets burn more credits, simple ones burn fewer.
The playbook also mentions layering in recurring revenue, using what they call the Palantir model. For anyone unfamiliar with that, Palantir is famous for sending in forward-deployed engineers, basically a SWAT team, to build highly customized solutions for a client.
Right, but they build it on top of Palantir's core software platform.
Yes. So the AINS version of this is delivering that initial heavy lift outcome for a massive fee, but then leaving a customized software platform behind that the client pays an ongoing subscription fee to maintain.
So you capture both the upfront value and the sticky recurring SaaS revenue.
Exactly. Best of both worlds.
Regardless of the exact model, though, founders must aggressively push toward outcome-based pricing. If you stay on labor-based hourly pricing while your AI gets faster and more efficient, you are actively cannibalizing your own revenue.
That's because you're billing fewer hours for the exact same result. Okay, so the money is flowing in, you're taking on the risk, but reaping the rewards. How do you prove to yourself and to the market that this isn't just a house of cards? How do you build a moat so a competitor with the exact same foundational AI models doesn't just copy your playbook next month?
The primary moat is the data flywheel. It's about understanding how the data actually trains your specific AI. A foundational model knows general language, sure, but it doesn't know the specific proprietary quirks of a client's data.
Harper's the perfect example of this in action because they match businesses with insurance underwriters, right?
Right.
So every single time they process a lead or review a dense commercial policy or successfully match an underwriter, that exact interaction is fed back into their specific model.
Yep. The AI learns the subtle, unwritten preferences of the underwriters through reinforcement learning.
So the 100th match is significantly faster and more accurate than the first. The data just compounds.
And if your daily operations don't generate that compounding proprietary data, you essentially have no moat. But there is a second, even deeper defense here, which is structural depth.
Which brings us back to Hanover Park.
Yes. Hanover Park didn't just offer to automate a few fund administration tasks. They built a full enterprise resource planning system.
A core ERP.
Exactly. They became the foundational operating system for their clients. All historical data and all daily workflows live inside Hanover Park's infrastructure.
So to rip them out.
To rip them out, a client wouldn't just be switching a vendor. They would be ripping out their own nervous system. The switching costs become astronomically high.
That is the ultimate stickiness right there. But to know if you are actually achieving this level of automation and structural depth, the playbook says we have to completely throw out our old metrics.
You really do.
Yeah, you can't just look at growth rate or retention anymore because of that Mirage PMF trap we talked about earlier. You need a North Star metric that proves the AI is actually doing the heavy lifting. And I love Crosby Legal's name for this. They call it HURT.
HURT, human review time.
Right.
It is the ultimate metric for this business model. HERT measures the exact number of minutes a human must spend reviewing or fixing a document after the AI has processed it, while still maintaining 100% quality.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
As herd approaches zero, your consulting margins basically approach software margins.
Exactly. It is the purest indicator that your productization is actually working.
And the playbook explicitly warns founders not to mess this up through premature M&A-like mergers and acquisitions.
That is a huge trap.
It is so tempting to just buy a legacy services firm just to acquire their massive customer base, right?
Right, instant scale.
But if you import 1,000 legacy employees before your AI platform is fully robust, you destroy your HERT metric. You dilute your AI-first culture with a billable hour mindset, and you just become the very legacy firm you were trying to disrupt.
Yeah, you have to fix the platform first, then buy the distribution. And this is an area where the whole industry is still calibrating. Emergence Capital noted they are actually releasing a highly anticipated benchmarking dataset specifically for AINS companies in the summer of 2026.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that will finally give founders a concrete baseline for these new unit economics, like HERT and revenue per employee.
So what does this all mean? We've covered a lot of ground today. The AINS revolution is ultimately about a massive collapse. We're watching software and services merge into a single integrated outcome. You know the old saying, the customer never really wanted to buy a drill, they just wanted a hole in the wall.
Exactly. AINS is finally just selling the whole.
Right. And I think for you, listening right now, the immediate takeaway is a fundamental shift in how you evaluate business solutions. The next time you are looking to buy a software tool or hire an outside agency at work, ask yourself, am I buying a tool that is just going to create a new management burden for my team? Or can I just buy the outcome directly?
The transition from selling tools to selling outcomes, it's pretty much inevitable at this point. But this raises an important question, one that the playbook kind of hints at but leaves open for the future.
Ooh, okay. What is it?
We've talked extensively about how AI-native services disrupt slow, human-heavy legacy firms. That's the easy battle, right? But what happens 5 years from now when an AINS company has to compete against another AINS company?
Oh, wow.
When both competitors have driven their human review time down to absolute zero and both are pricing based on perfect outcomes, what becomes the new competitive moat then?
That is exactly the kind of question we love. A completely new frontier to explore. We'll have to wait and see who figures out that next level of the game. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the world around you. Keep looking for the outcomes, not just the tools, and we will catch you next time.